Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to another stream. So today is going to be the Attack on Titan Rerun collab. So if you weren't here for the original collab, I thought it was pretty interesting in my opinion. The event is pretty good and the units themselves had some interesting skills, so I'm honestly happy that they're bringing this collab back because they had a lot of interesting things in this collab. So it's kind of similar to the more recent reruns that we've been having. They are releasing 2 shift units, and this time there's also 2 new arcs. With the Neo Automata rerun, it had 2 shifts with 1 arc for whatever reason. I don't know why I had 1, but it's fine. This time there's 2. So, what I want to do today, obviously same normal stuff. Look at the units and the arc like normal, but I also want to check out the rerun stuff and talk about if there's anything noteworthy and what you should be selecting from your ticket, because I'm assuming a lot of people are probably interested in that, since this collab came out about 2 years ago, so it's probably a lot of newer players that weren't around the first time this collab was around. Let's have a look first at what the part 1 gacha is bringing. So we've got SMikasa and a new limited arc, which is cool. It is surprising that they're releasing so many collabs. They are exciting though. I mean, I can't complain about collabs because I think they're fun, and I do think this is more of the more fun collabs. I have been doing the event earlier, it's pretty fun. Let's have a look at Mikasa first. So, she looks great. I don't know anything about Attack on Titan or anything, but I always like the way that the units look and everything. So she's a soldier type, which makes sense because she's even got a soldier in her name, so of course she'll be a soldier type. Absolute resistance is plus 35 to earth is going to be very good, because as you know, the main tank in the game right now is Guile, and he's a big problem, and a lot of people are struggling with killing Guiles, especially in guild battles. So I'm hoping that she has potential to, you know, do very well against Guiles, but I don't know yet, because, you know, that's going to require testing, and she only just came out, so we have no idea how good she's going to perform for PvP yet, but I'm hoping that she performs well. Minus 32 ice, so yeah, against Summer Sarah, she's probably going to die really easily, I would assume. And the stats seem pretty average, not much to say about it, but she does have some nice defense for a dual wield unit, so I'm hoping she can be decently tanky, but I'll have to wait and see, I guess, how she performs for PvP, but I don't know yet. Her kit seems pretty good. So resistances look pretty good here. Resistance to illness, stun, and curse are kind of the main 3 that you want to look for a main physical DPS / tank unit. Those are the most important ones. So that's nice. Now let's go over to skills. So these are a bit more complicated because they are worded differently, but that's just the way that they word these units, and they did it in the past with the original units as well. It's just more words to explain what the skill does. All it does is it just does damage, so it's not much to it. Skill 1, shoot a wire that pulls unit to the enemy for a medium area slashing fire combo attack. So yeah, obviously that's just a extreme way of saying do a fire attack, you know. So her skill 1 is 7 hits, which is okay, and I have tried her skill 1 out and tried her out a little bit in the test battle, unit test play quest, and her skill 1 does seem pretty good, so I think her skill 1 could be pretty decent. 7 hits isn't too bad. It's not the best, but we've seen lower than that, so I think it's okay. Skill 2, basically the same thing, but I'm not super excited about her skill 2 because her skill 2 is not that fast, so I haven't really been using her skill 2 at all. Skill 2 is 13 hits, it's alright. I don't think I'm really going to use it much. And then her skill 3 is probably going to be her main skill. Shoot a wire that pulls unit to the enemy for a wider area fire combo attack. So they're all very similar because they shoot a wire, all of them do. So I'm assuming that they do have some range to it, but they're not long range. They are mostly close range skills, so she's going to be a more close range skill unit, which is, you know, sometimes a problem in Arena. A lot of the time it is. Unless they are tanky enough, like Cloudia is fine, but he does have a long range skill 1 that helps with that too. So skill 3 is 21 hits, which I think is pretty nice. It's pretty good, I think. It's okay. Spamming her skill 3 should be pretty decent for DPS, I think. And she has some nice damage caps as well. Special is 2-1 enemy, which isn't that great because you like to see specials that are against every single enemy. It's 48 hits, so that's not really that much. I would have liked to see more hits on her special, and then it could have been pretty good, maybe. If it was against all enemies, it could have been pretty nice. I do like the animation of her special, I think it's pretty good. I haven't tried it yet, but I did watch it in the video, and it looked pretty nice. Just a pretty cool animation. But yeah, there isn't really anything special about her skills here, nothing really noteworthy, no debuffs or anything interesting here. But I do think they look pretty fun to use because she does move around a lot and she goes like behind the enemy a lot with all of her skills, and it's pretty fun. So I think she could be a pretty fun unit to use in most content, but it depends on how she performs in that content, which I don't know yet. So traits gets obviously more interesting. Trait 1, first of all, we've got 20,000 fire damage cap, which is very good. So all of your fire damage with this unit, 20,000 more damage caps is going to be very nice. And when hitting absolute weakness with fire, 12,000 more damage cap. So if you're using her in PvE content, then make sure that you're hitting the enemy's fire weakness, or make sure to reduce their resistances as much as possible, because that will increase her damage by quite a bit. Especially since she's going to be dual wield. Each sword equipped physical attack damage 25%, which is interesting, and each machine equipped critical rate 5% and critical damage 30%. So this can give you some, you know, different build options. You could either go for 2 swords, or you can go for a sword and a machine, or you can go for 2 machines. I need to check what weapon boost she has because I don't remember, but once we go over those skills, probably see what would be best, but I would assume a sword and a machine is probably best for most scenarios. For PvP, I don't really know, because critical rate and critical damage, you could have 2 machines, nice, but it may be better to have 2 swords, or just 1 of each. We'll have to see, but I do like this trait 1, I think it's pretty good. And if you just want more physical damage, you could just go for 2 swords and have 50% more physical damage, which is not bad. Not the best, but it's still pretty good. We have seen high damage traits in the past for other units though, like there are a couple units that have 80% physical damage or something in their trait, which is on the higher end, probably the highest we get. So trait 2 is more interesting, I think. So trait 1 is more focused on damage caps and damage, and then trait 2, special damage 100%, which is obviously a lot, but since her special is 48 hits and only hits 1 enemy, I don't really care too much about it. But this event does have a maze type time trial event stage thing. I don't know what you would call it, but it does want you to use specials, so units that have decent specials are going to be more useful in this event, I think, once that time trial stage comes around next week, I think. And damage cap 40,000 for his special, so here's the good thing though. Trait 1 is all fire damage caps, and trait 2 is more special damage caps, so those are going to add and end up being a lot of special damage cap. 40,000 damage cap for a special there, and then another 20,000, then if you're hitting weakness, then it's another 12,000. So she could have some pretty good damage cap on her special, and I think it could be okay, but it really needed to be AoE and hit all enemies. That would have been very nice, but I still think it could be okay to use, maybe. When a unit is airborne, then physical attack damage taken minus 30%. Okay, sure. If you're getting flinched, or if you're in the air from magic or something, then you're going to take less physical damage. more situational, but I do like that it's there, at least. When close to death, this is the most interesting thing about her trait too, I think. And probably her most of her kit is the most interesting thing to me. So when she's close to death, kind of like an awakened thing, it gives her a unique buff which can only be applied once per wave. Okay, so that means this buff can only be applied once in PvP content. So in Arena, this buff will only apply once. Once she dies, she's going to lose the buff and then she won't be able to get it back. So that's going to be a problem. Just make sure she don't die and you should be fine. So once she has this buff active, it boosts her HP by 200%, which is a lot. If you stack a bunch of HP and that just makes me think for a second. You put on a bunch of HP with this buff, and then you put on Rainical, and I don't know how that's gonna do, but that just sounds funny to me. Like 200% more HP, and you just put every single HP up possible, and then put on Rainical. I don't know if that's gonna be good or too strong or what. It's probably not gonna be that strong, but it's funny to think about. Restore HP and boost strength, defense, intelligence, and mind by 100%, which is obviously crazy. And won't flinch from physical attacks. So, the won't flinch from physical attacks is only when she has this buff active. And this buff is pretty insane because you're getting a lot of buffs, a lot of stat buffs from this. And one thing it doesn't say is how long this buff is active for. But if it's like a normal 40-second buff, then this is going to be pretty crazy for, you know, this is probably a more PvP focused trait in my opinion, but I can see it being useful in PvE as well because of the not flinching from physical attacks. That will allow her to spam skills. So the only problem with this is she has to get hit a lot to activate this buff first, and it's definitely going to be only a limited time buff, because if it was permanent, that would be just too strong. So yeah, hopefully it's not like 10 or 20 seconds, because that wouldn't be that much, but if it's 40-second buff, I think it would be very good. And this could allow her to be very good in PvP, but there's a big but, and that is, I don't think this by itself is going to be enough to make her good in PvP, so that's why she's still going to require a lot of testing. But I do like her traits, honestly. They do seem very good to me. She is locked to sword and machine, and I do like this buff a lot. I think this could be very good, but if you're in PvE content, then if you're not getting hit, then this buff won't be active and it's not really going to benefit you much. And if you're just using a healer like Brenna, then she's going to be providing everyone with healing and a shield, which won't flinch anyway. So this part of the trait is mostly for PvP, I think. So yeah, good traits, I think. Very nice. Shows you've got damage and take less physical damage and that buff. The only thing she doesn't have though, she doesn't have anything in her kit that is aimed towards counters, which is fine because not every unit needs to have something aimed towards counters. Like, we've had a lot of counter related stuff recently and we don't want more counter stuff. I'm assuming most people probably think the same way, where the meta in PvP is just too aimed toward counter, and we don't want more counter stuff. We want to try to get more PvE content stuff, and I think that's fine. She could still be useful there, but I don't think she's going to do very well against the counter units. So let's have a look at skills, which I haven't really looked too in-depth into her skills, so let's see what she's got. Actually, first thing I'm seeing is she's got some decent survivability skills, so that makes me interested. HP up max, fighting spirit 4, resolve up max, heroism up 4. That's a lot of stats. So a lot of HP, strength, defense, mostly defense though. I think it's pretty good. Life fort and auto high protection. You know, she could have quite a lot of defense and quite a lot of physical damage mitigation, which is interesting to think about, because what if you could try to make her like a main tank in guild battles or something, on your attack team is what it makes me think of. Yeah, I do like this collab. It's a pretty fun collab in my opinion, even though I don't know much about Attack on Titan. I still think it's a pretty nice one. Auto haste is always great to have. Patience 2 is even more defense when close to death. So yeah, her defense is going to be pretty high. Quite a lot, I think, actually. And pretty good HP. You know, I'm wondering if they want her to be a tank or not. Like, only reason I'm saying that is because of Garland is dual wield and has no damage and is just a tank. That I don't think she's the same. She's definitely going to be mostly a DPS, but she does have quite a lot of defense up skills and some damage mitigation, like high protection continuously is very good. Fire Drive and Giga Drive, okay, and Fire Critical Raise. So she is missing quite a lot of fire damage skills. Like, she doesn't have any fire attack raise skills at all, which kind of sucks a little bit, but I don't think it's a big deal because I'm assuming she should have enough damage. And you can always put on Fire High Drive. Since she doesn't have High Drive, you can put that on her, and that'll be fine. Fire Attack Raise 1 and 2 you could put on her if you want to, but they're a bit expensive, so I probably wouldn't recommend that. Pose of Victory is the only pose skill she has, but you can just put on Pose of Honor and Pose of Glory if you want to, because they only cost 2 SC. Doesn't really matter if the unit has this or not, because they're so cheap and so good, you might as well use them and put them on most DPS units. Spirit Breath is nice to have. It does save some SCT. Well, it saves some SC if you've got a healer in the team, so that's very nice. Megalodon Shield, very nice. More damage mitigation to physical attacks. You know, she should be pretty tanky against physical attacks. She really should. Like, there's no way she's not, right? Piercing is a very nice skill. I do like it. Shockwave 2. The fact that she's dual wield makes Shockwave 2 even better. And you can put on Shockwave 1 as well. She should be a pretty decent unit at breaking enemies' guard for PvP. So that's pretty nice. Having a dual wield unit with Shockwave 1 and 2 is just very good, because it increases their chance of this activating because they got more hits. I like it. Dual wield, there you go. It's not true dual wield or anything, but dual wield's fine. Don't really say anything about it, but make sure you have 2 weapons, I think. So, Unclad Toughness is even more defense. You're not going to be having an armor any of the time with her, so just 20% more defense all the time is great. You've got a lot of defense. 15% more here, and then 12% more there. Life Fort up to 50%. Patience 2, 30%. And then another 20%. Like, and also the trait 2, which is another 100%. There's a lot of stats, there's a lot of defense. I think that's pretty nice. I do like that. And here we go, the weapon boost skills that she's got. Sword Mega Boost. Good thing it's not Giga Boost. I mean, if it was Giga Boost, it would allow you to put on Mega Boost from a UR arc, but at least people can't complain about it. Machine High Boost and Machine Mega Boost. So yeah, since she's got all of these 3 skills, I think you're better off using a sword and a machine. Because let's say you're using 2 machines, right? That means you're missing out on 30% physical damage from not using a sword. And you could also put on sword boost and high boost to add even more damage. So I don't think you should be using 2 of each of these. I think you should probably use 1 of each, because then you can benefit from the weapon boost skills, which you should be doing. You should definitely have a machine at least, and probably a sword too, so it's just a lot of damage that you don't want to miss out on. So yeah, a sword and a machine, definitely the best option. A machine, you get 40% more physical damage just from these 2 boosts, and also more damage from the, you know, minus defense and deal damage is piercing, so very nice. Special Boost 4 is a new one, I think. More special damage and damage cap, it's okay. Quick trigger, I like this. It's nice. Indomitable Spirit, you know, sure, why not? More survivability for this unit. She didn't need it, but it's fine. There it is. Destroyer, greatly boost break. You know, that makes me think that we haven't had a break unit in a long time. And the reason being is break isn't really that important right now, and there isn't really any content that requires it that much. There's maybe a couple maze stages, but I can't think of it because I haven't done those in ages. So yeah, I don't think there's really any content that requires a breaker. And you don't need a new break unit because we've got old break units like DXRs currently still amazing, and it's funny because that machine has been probably the best breaker of a ridiculous time. It's funny. Dog Eat Dog is more skilled damage against non-boss enemies, so this will apply in PvP, so that's nice. Now we get on to the more unique skills, which I like a lot all the time. Scout Regiment. So, boost physical damage to bosses based on number of allies with this skill equipped. So, this is only to bosses, so this won't do anything in PvP. You can just ignore this skill in PvP because it won't do anything for you, but if you want more damage to bosses, then you may want to put Scout Regiment on everyone in your team for PvE against bosses. So that's something you could do and may be viable. And the fact that she has this for free saves some SC if you want a full team with Scout Regiment. I'm pretty sure they did adjust the SC cost of the skill as well. This is a learnable skill on a limited arc, but it is from an arc that you can get for free if you select it from the ticket, which we'll look at later. New ODM gear. So this one is just an improvement of ODM gear, and I like this skill. It's very fun to me, and this is the main reason why I like the Attack on Titan collab units, because it's very unique. Apply 8 gas buffs at the start of battle, okay, and when a skill is used and you're far enough away from the enemy, then it uses one of those buffs to greatly boost movement speed, and it boosts movement speed by a hell of a lot, so that's very fun. It feels almost like a Close the Gap, but not really, because it's just incredibly fast speed, and these units, I just think it's fun having super fast speed, use a skill, zoom across the entire map, and you're there already. It's great. And boost damage by 30%. When gas buff is applied, then SET recovery speed plus 10%. So, when you use one gas buff, you get a 30% damage boost, which is important for PvP, because potentially you would want to use a gas buff to do more damage, well, obviously, but there's something to think about. If you want to do even more damage against a tank, then you'd want to go just far enough so it allows you to use a gas buff to get the 30% damage boost, but most of the time you probably just want to be in the enemy's face in any way, and this isn't really something you should be focusing on. But when you have at least one gas buff, then you get 10% SET recovery speed, which isn't a whole lot, but it is something, so I think that is decent. And these buffs should be continuous. I don't think that it has a time limit, because that would be dumb if it did. It should be until you use a skill, and you're far enough away, so I do like this. Now we get on to the next skill, which is basically an improvement to this. You get 3 more gas buffs at the start of battle, and when a gas buff is applied, then skill damage 30% and damage cap 15,000, and damage taken minus 10%. So, when it says when gas buff is applied, I'm pretty sure that it means as long as you have at least one gas buff, then you get this boost. Pretty sure that's what it is, and that would make a lot of sense. So, as long as you have at least one gas buff, then you will have 30% more skill damage and 15,000 damage cap. So, that would mean in PvE content, you don't want to be far enough away from the enemy. You don't want to be far away, because if you use up every single gas buff, then you're probably going to be losing out on 15,000 damage cap, and since she's dual wield, you really don't want to lose out on that much damage cap, because that's a whole lot of damage cap for a dual wield unit. So probably make sure that you have at least one gas buff left, or just try not to use them at all in PvE. But in PvP, doesn't really matter too much, I think. You do take 10% less damage, which is all damage, so that's nice. I'm strong, sure, why not? More critical damage, 50% more critical damage to human types, sure, and a critical damage cap, 5,000. Soldier, Knight, Sniper, Sorcerer, and chance to nullify damage taken from human types. So, a lot of people think this will instantly make her a good PvP unit. Well, that's not the case, because this by itself isn't enough to make her a good PvP unit. She does have other things to help with PvP, but, you know, it's okay, and 50% more critical damage cap to human types. In PvE, most bosses are not going to be a human type, but I'm assuming that probably in the Maze Time Trial event that's coming up soon, they're probably going to have human type enemies, and probably want you to use Mikasa for that time trial, maybe. That wouldn't surprise me at this point. But yeah, basically in Arena and Good Battles, this will be 50% more critical damage to human type enemies, which is fine, and chance to nullify damage taken. So chance to nullify damage taken probably also means all damage from human types. So that could potentially mean even counter damage. You could nullify counter damage as long as it's from a human type enemy. Interesting. I think it's okay. HP 20%, okay. And a continuous Grand Brave and Grand Fort effect, okay, sure, why not. So, because she didn't need it, she's getting more HP and even more defense. Yeah, I am liking her kit a lot so far. And then the final skill here, when physically attacking an enemy close to death, 30% more damage and 3,000 more damage cap. So this is mostly if a boss is close to death and you can just finish them off faster, that's fine. But in PvP, it's 30% more damage when an enemy is close to death, so I think it's pretty good. I think it's okay. Doesn't add a whole lot, but it's something. And then Sick Enhanced skills, more damage cap, take less physical damage. So, here's what I'm thinking right now. I do think she has quite a lot for defense and physical damage mitigation. The only thing she doesn't have is anything related to magic or counters. And magic and counter damage are very meta right now in PvP, so she's probably going to have a more difficult time fitting into the meta for PvP, but she could maybe still work. It just really highly depends on how tanky she ends up being and performing, and how much damage she does. Because if she doesn't do any damage, then that would imply that they would want you to use her as a tank, and you're probably better off using someone else. So I think she has a good kit, and it is promising for PvP in my opinion, but I'm not saying much about that because she needs testing, and you never know with these units. For PvE though, I think she could be pretty solid because she got some decent damage cap skills, and ODM Kier is pretty fun for movement speed. She also has, what am I trying to remember? Oh yeah, the won't flinch from physical attacks. When you have that active, that's very useful in PvE. So yeah, she does have quite a lot of useful skills and stuff that can be used in PvE and PvP, so I'm hopeful that she's a pretty good unit because she does look pretty good. The thing is that she's trying to be a hybrid tank slash DPS unit, so I'm hoping she has enough damage, and I'm hoping she's tanky enough. She definitely should be tanky enough because looking at all of her skills, she has a hell of a lot of defense, so that should be good. And even auto high protection. So yeah, I think she should be decently tanky and have good, decent DPS. Probably not the best, definitely not, but still pretty solid. Her skill 1 and skill 3 are going to be her main skills for DPS, and yeah, can't really say much else about her at the moment until I've fully tested her, and if I do get her today, then I will definitely have a talk about her a bit more next week once I've done more testing, if I do get her later. So hopefully we do manage to get her later, because I think she's going to be pretty good, as the fact that she is fire and has 35 earth resistance and is pretty tanky could be pretty good against Giles, but I'm not going to say anything about that because, you know, testing is the most important thing, and I'm not going to jump to a conclusion right now, but I think she could be very fun, and there are a couple of things I want to test with her. Main things being, I want to try out her damage, most of all, obviously, and her DPS, and see how that performs, and damage in PvP, as well as how tanky she can be in PvP, and a Rainical full HP build would be very funny. I just want to see how that does, and yeah. I think she's very nice. I think she could be pretty good. She does require testing, all the units do, but she does have some good potential, and I'm hoping that she ends up being a very good unit because she does look pretty good. Now let's go over to the arc. Now, this arc is decent. Let's have a look at the trait first. I wasn't super excited about this trait, but it does have some interesting things to it though. So it boosts fire attack damage based on the combo hit count. Maximum of 45% 100 plus hits. This one is mostly just for PvE, and if you've got a main physical DPS dual build unit in your team and a SET unit and you're spamming skills, then you're going to be above 100 hits most of the time. And if you've got a mage as well, then you would probably want to use this, and this would be pretty good in that scenario. But in PvP, I would not want to use this because hit counts in PvP not really, you don't really care about that much, and it's not, you're never going to be 100 hits in PvP ever, so yeah, there's probably mostly for PvE. But this part here, when revived, give a unit strength slash defense plus 50% buff for 40 seconds. This one's very good, and it's quite interesting. 40% buff for 40 seconds for a 50% strength and defense buff. Very strong. 50% is the highest we can get right now, pretty much. Just ignore the other buffs. I'm thinking of continuous, like, Brave and Fort buffs, though Fort is 20%, Grand Fort is 35%, and yeah, there aren't many ways to get a 50% buff. So you could do something interesting like kill yourself and then revive, and then you get this 30% buff. Maybe you could benefit from that, but I'm just thinking about it. I think that buff could potentially be useful, but I don't know yet. When attacking a boss monster and hitting an attribute weakness damage cap 3000. So yeah, I think it's a solid trait, but I don't know if I would use it yet, because it's more situational. Because you've got to get high hit counts for this, and then you've got revive for this buff, and then you've got to hit a boss monster's weakness, you know. But I still think it's pretty good, and the good thing about this is it's any attack against a boss monster. So this includes magic, and this includes physical, special counters, any type of damage. As long as you're hitting the weakness of a boss monster, then you're going to get 3000 damage cap. So I think that's pretty good. It's a pretty solid trait. Now let's have a look at the learnable skills, which I think are okay, honestly. I think they're nice. So Morning Tide is the first notable skill here. So for 8SC, you get 30% more strength as long as you're at max MP. Now, this isn't, like, you would probably think, when would you use this? Well, obviously you're never going to use this in PvP. This is not a PvP skill because you're never going to be at full MP. But you can use this for PvE, and if you're using a obviously going to be putting it on a main physical damage dealer, then this will be very good for them, because they're going to start with max MP at the start of battle, and if you're up against a high defense enemy, or a boss that has a lot of defense, then this skill will be very useful. So, I would not use this all the time, but I would definitely want to use this against certain enemies that has incredibly high defense. So I think it's a good skill to have, and I could see myself using it if there are more bosses that have incredibly high defense, which they have been doing recently. So this skill is pretty good. Even though it's 8 SC, 30% more strength is very strong, and as long as you don't have Sharp Eyes equipped, then your physical DPS unit should be at max MP the entire time, as long as they're not casting anything. So I think it's a good skill. And Sharp Blow is okay, but I don't think I would really use it because it's only against boss monsters. If it was against all enemies or non-bosses or something, it could be used in PvP for more critical damage, but that still wouldn't be that great, because 10% critical damage isn't really that much, and not worth it for 5 SC. So I probably wouldn't really use this that much, unless you're doing a full critical build. In that case, yes, it can be good. So if you're using like a full crit build with on a dual build unit with Icy Guardian, then this could be great for that unit, but in most scenarios it probably wouldn't be that great. And then Fire Enhance. So if you remember that video I did the other day of 9S, well, he's going to love this skill, because this will give 9S 10% more fire attack damage, which will boost his support attack damage. That's why I like this skill, because this is going to help 9S damage. So that's the only reason I like this skill. It is a bit expensive for 10 SC, but you also get 50% special damage. If you only care about the fire attack damage for 9S, then 10 SC is a bit too much, but I still think it's probably worth using. So I would like to get this arc because I do see some useful skills in here. Fire Enhance, I 100% want to use it on 9S, and I am strongly considering getting 9S to 130 SC very soon, because he's just a very good unit, and he's got a lot more value than he did when he released, so I think this skill could be very nice on him, and make him even better than he currently is, because it's very good. So yeah, good learnable skills, decent traits. Archive reward is a very funny fire machine, which is called a Thunder Spear. Why do they troll you like this? So it's a fire machine. Just ignore the name. It's not a Thunder Spear. It's a fire machine. Trait, skill damage to boss monsters 15%, a damage cap 1,500. So yes, it's not a whole lot, but it's more damage cap, and this is against boss monsters all the time. So I do think it's a very good machine, because we don't have many ways to increase damage caps, and this on a dual wield DPS unit could be very strong. So yeah, I do think this will be very good for sure. You could use this on like 2P or any unit you want really that uses a machine. You could use it on Mikasa, it could be great. So yeah, I do like this weapon. I would definitely see myself using this quite a few times, because against bosses this would be great. And a lot of the time trials do have boss enemies a lot of the time, so I think this will be very good to use. So yeah, I do think this is a very solid arc, and I would definitely like to have this as well. So I do think this is a good banner, because this arc has a lot of useful things in my opinion, and the unit does require testing, but she does have a lot of good skills, and her kit's pretty good, so I do think this banner is pretty solid, and I think she could perform pretty well, and the arc should be pretty good too. So I would definitely like to get both of these, because I think they both have value. Which one would I rather aim for? I don't know. They're both good, and Mikasa needs testing first, but I don't know. I want both. I don't really have a preference, because I just want both. That's kind of all I'm thinking of, so yeah. I can't really say yet, but If you get one of them, then that's great, because they're both good. And make sure you use your tickets, because we do get tickets. So yeah, I'm going to leave that there for the moment. We will come back to this very soon. I do want to check her paid equipments, because I haven't done that yet. There is the Redux banner, which you should mostly just ignore. Just don't pull on this, you've got no reason to pull on that. And Gilbert banner's still up, so I've done a lot of testing with Gilbert, and he is very good. The unit on this banner, I'm just going to quickly mention that he's a very good PvP unit and is PvP focused and very strong. Probably one of the better tanks we have in the game. And the arc, I'm just loving this arc a lot. It's very good for PvP. It's amazing. And yeah, Ticket Gacha, we'll do that later once we get to it. Rerun, Redux Ticket Gacha, if you get something then great. What I would recommend is don't use your guaranteed select ticket yet, because you could get something from these tickets. And there are a couple tickets in probably the login event maybe, and the event itself, so yeah. Don't spend everything yet, just save, because you could get something from the tickets first. Let's have a look at Trading Space next, because I want to check her paid equipments. I haven't done that yet. Let's have a look. So, there is this Redux Trading Space. I'll have a look at that right now, I might as well. So, this, I'm not going to go in depth, I'm just going to be having a brief look at them and see which one I think's better to choose, because obviously you shouldn't be choosing one of the units unless you're like me and the only thing I was missing was Mikasa, so I got her for free. So, this arc trait's actually pretty good. The learnable skills has Scout Regiment, so if you want to benefit from Scout Regiment, then this may be a good option. Archive reward is ODM gear, which is actually pretty solid and I have used a couple times. So, what does this have? This one has... Right, it has counter charge. Okay. Battle of the Titans. Special boost 3. Pretty nice as well. Scout Cloak, I have this... I've never used it, it's not that great, so... I mean... I think the best arc to choose is this one for sure, because Scout Regiment can be used, and this Archive Reward can be used as well, so if I were to choose one, I'd probably use this one, choose this one over the other one. But this is decent as well, because it has Counter Charge and Battle of the Titans, but these aren't used on that many units. Battle of the Titans can be used on no-willed units, but we don't have many of those. We've only got like 2 of those units. We've got Ryvern and Veldora, so those 2 units can benefit from this skill, but if you don't have those, then this arc isn't going to benefit you that much. So I would probably prefer this one over the other one. To the majority of people, you probably get that one. Don't trade for the units, you don't really need those, but don't trade yet, because you could get something from tickets first. Now let's have a look at her paid equipment. So, it's funny, because they're called spears, but they're not actually. So, it's a fire machine, 4-round thunder spears. It's not actually, because it's a machine. So the trait, the stats are pretty okay. Trait is fire attack damage 25%, that's pretty nice. Damage cap 2500, so that's all fire damage. That includes her special as well, which is okay. And when physically attacking, enemy defense minus 10% they do damage. So this is okay, but I don't think you need it really. But for a physical DPS in a PvE content, you could use this if you want, but it's not like you need it, because the limited arc does have a fire machine as well, which you could use instead, and which that would be fine. As long as you're hitting boss enemies, that would probably be fine. You don't need this. It would still be an improvement, but it's not a must-have. There are other options available, like Trishula and stuff. You can always just use those. Still pretty decent though. Now this is an accessory. Even though it looks like clothes, it's an accessory because she's dual wield. The stats are pretty nice. The trait looks good too. So you take 10% less damage. Amazing. That's all damage. That's why we love it, because all damage is everything. And then damage taken from human types. Soldier, Knight, Sniper, Sorcerer, minus 15%. This one is just a very, very much PvP focused accessory. So if she ends up being good in PvP, I would highly recommend to get this one, because this one is just very good for PvP. But if she isn't super amazing in PvP, then you probably don't really need this. But I still think this could be useful. So that's only if you use her in PvP. If not, then you don't really need this. But it even gets 5 more earth resistance, so she's going to have 40 earth resistance and take even less damage from, well, 25% less damage from Guile, which is the most important thing here. If only there was a nullify Soldier Slayer effect, that would have been great, but it's fine. So I definitely think this accessory is the better option, but it's only going to be used in PvP. So if you're not using her in PvP, then this one is the better option. But you don't need any of these. I do think this one has more value, because if she does end up being good at PvP, like I said, I would definitely want to get this for sure. So yeah, I think for the moment just hold off and don't really focus on any of these, and if you're free to play, you don't need to worry about any of these equipments right now, or at all, ever. So yeah, these aren't really that important. You don't need them, but if she's good in PvP, then get this one for sure. You don't really need this, but they're both still good. So yeah, they're pretty nice. Nothing else really at the moment. Might as well check event trading space, but yeah, there's just a normal stuff in the event trading space. There are a couple tickets here, so make sure to get those first. There are 2, 3, there's 2 tickets there, and some Redux tickets, so make sure to get those and use those first before you do anything else. So yeah, that's everything in the trading space for the moment. That's the select ticket you can get. Don't use it yet, because you might get something from the Redux tickets. Yeah, there's 3 more tickets here, so make sure to get those first as well. We do get a decent amount of tickets, so I do like that. And there are some more tickets there as well, so make sure to get them all. And yeah, I think that's everything for the moment. There are part 2 tickets in here already, but obviously can't use them yet. You have to wait till next week, but make sure to farm this event, because it does have some tickets and some nice materials in, so you might as well. I am enjoying this event, but I do want to talk more about it later. So, isn't really anything else I want to talk about now, so might as well go over to summons next, because that's more exciting. So, I don't know my plan yet, but I would like to get both, obviously, but I don't know yet. If we get terrible luck, then I'm just going to be skipping for the moment and just saving for part 2 just in case and seeing what happens. But hopefully it doesn't come to that. Hopefully we can get both and then leave and save for the next part, but I doubt that's happening. I doubt what will happen. Let's use these 2 first, and then the 10 pull, and then we'll go from there. I don't want to pity anything. This one's probably going to be a skip unless it looks promising. Yeah, it's not promising. This is a skip, obviously. So this is the 10 pull from tickets. I farmed all of these tickets earlier from the event and stuff, and there are some in the login event too, so everyone right now can get 12 tickets. Make sure to use them first. And you don't need to spend crystals yet, because there are more tickets in the login event and stuff. Gold, yes, it is a gold. Gold is more promising than a blue, but not all the time. I am really hoping we get something new from this, because that would be amazing. If you remember my Ryu luck, then yeah, we need Ryu's luck back, but I doubt that'll happen ever again. It's never gonna happen. We need animations though. One is probably not enough. Yeah, I told you it wasn't enough. One animation's still not enough. We needed at least 2. Still wish we had something from tickets, but needed 2 or 3 animations to get a red from that one. One animation, still not enough. It's very sad. I still wish we got something from that, but it's fine. It's not fine. I'm on fire right now, it's fine. So, I definitely want to keep going, because I do want both of these, but I'm still trying to be smart with crystals, because I'm trying to make my crystals last as long as possible, and my idea, this banner only lasts 2 weeks, this collab only lasts 2 weeks as well, so you shouldn't be pulling on this yet, because of part 2, we don't know what part 2 is going to have. I'm going to be doing these daily gacha pulls every day, probably. So let's just do step gacha first. And now I am really hoping we get something very soon. I would like to get both. This one's a skip, obviously, because you're not going to get anything from these 2 blue balls. This one's 3 pulls, still not really going to be anything, I bet. We haven't had a red yet, which is sad, but hopefully the first red we can get is new, but probably not in here, is it? No, it's a blue, but I'm going to watch it anyway, because I do want to take my time with this, just in case, but if there's no animations, there's 1, 2, it's probably still a gold, isn't it? Yeah. Told you. If it was a 10 pull, then there would have been a chance that it was a red, but since it was only 3, I wasn't expecting anything from that. And then this one's a 6 pull. The lap 1 is always very cheap. I doubt we get anything in here either. Yeah, no, it's nothing in here. Gold, maybe something, but I'm not expecting anything. I'm gonna hope for 2 animations. If there's 2 animations, I'm going to hope for a red if there's 2 animations. Yeah, 30 pulls. So far it's not great. If there's 0 or 1 animations, I'm going to assume there's going to be a gold and nothing else. Yeah, like I said, I'm not getting enough animations. The animations make a difference all the time. Sometimes it's a bit weird though. So those are literally all the cheap pulls that I can do, so that's sad because now it just gets too expensive, but I'm going to be doing some free crystals because I do want to get them both, but I'm not going to be pitting anything yet. Theria's good, but the gold is better. Zekka's and Theria's okay, but it needs animations. I've been saying that a lot, but give me 2 animations and I'll be happy, and it should be a red, at least. And then we hope for something new, but 1 is probably not enough. Oh, there is a red, okay. No extra animation, we don't get those very often. Only a 1, of course, is only a 1 dupe. Oh. You know, this is the first red of the day. Yeah, this is the first red of the day, so I'm happy with that, because my 9S will like this a lot, so that's very nice. That's a very good one. Now, I would like to get Mikasa still, so I am thinking of what I should do right now, because I would still like to get Mikasa, but if I was smart, I would still save for the moment, but I don't think I'm smart enough to do that, am I? Probably not. Because I am very strongly considering getting a paid accessory, so I'm probably going to do a 10 pull in the step gacha, because I kind of want that, because I do think she's going to have some value in PvP, so I would definitely want to get the accessory. So I might as well get that. Hopefully we get her here in this temple, but I really doubt it. There's no way she's coming home already. But it would be amazing. Azeka's gold is something, but I'm not expecting anything in this one unless there's animations. It's probably not enough animations going to stay gold, my bet. Of course. 1 is not enough. 2 is a maybe, but probably not. 3 has to be 1 red at least. Yeah, there's 1. No arcs, we don't want any more arcs, we just want the unit now. Only 1 at the bottom, really? Dupe. Oh no. Hang on a second. That was very quick. Okay. I didn't expect that to happen. Okay. Amazing. Perfect. So, you know what the funny thing is about this whole thing is we haven't gotten any dupes, and this is the first from me. Like, the rate up is actually real. So, I can't say if Mikasa's worth pulling for yet. What I'm gonna say is, if you care about your crystals, then you should save for the moment. And hope you get something from tickets, because there's still a lot of time left, and you should be waiting for part 2 just in case. If I check the login bonus rewards, there's 3 more tickets here, and even a 10 pull for the Redux banner, which is quite good. And then we get 3 more there for part 2. So yeah, this is very good. There's some very good stuff here in the login bonus, so before using your trade ticket, get to day 10 login bonus first. So what I want to do now is I still want to get her paid accessory, and since I'm so close to it, I might as well do those 4 singles, but I just want to make sure that I'm not stupid, and we are actually at 21. Yes, we're at 21. So if I do 4 more singles, then I'll be able to get that accessory, which I do definitely want to get that. I think her accessory is going to be the better option than her machine, so I'm going to be getting that accessory now, and then we can stop. It's actually pretty nice. 32 summons, not including tickets. Amazing. Right. So, Mikasa is actually a new unit for me. She's at level 82 because I only just got her today. Which, here's the bad news. Yeah, I don't have any learned skills because I've only just got her today. She's a completely new unit to me, but if you're someone that's been around for 2 years and you have the original form of Mikasa built properly, fully, then you can easily build her, but I can't because I never had her. So now I do, at least, so that's good. Does look great. So we'll come back to her a bit later. For now, I'm going to be getting the pet accessory, so all I need to do is 4 singles very quick, and we'll get that. And then I want to do a few other things, and then we'll start having a look at Mikasa a bit more. So I don't need anything here. I don't need any reds. I just need to make sure I can count to 4. Can I do that? 2. I don't want any reds, just because I want to save my luck. And then number 4. There we go. Great, so we're done. Amazing. That was pretty quick. Nothing from tickets. The only thing, I'm not going to complain. I'm not complaining. But it's just a bit strange that we didn't get any dupes. Yeah. So let's go to trading space. You know, the only thing I'm thinking of at the moment is if she is not good in PvP, then this accessory won't be useful at all. So, if she's good in PvE only, then this will be better, but I highly doubt that, so I want to get this now. There we go, because I think it's good. I hope I don't regret that later, but I highly doubt it, because I do think it's the better option. It's just a big if of, let's hope that she's good in PvP. I can get 2 more tickets, but I'm not going to worry about that. It doesn't really matter at all, so... That's actually pretty fast. I do kind of want to end the stream before the next hour, because Arena's going to be ending very soon. And... yeah... Got about an hour left, I think. Gotta make sure to do that. So, what I want to do now is, since I am still on the emulator, I might as well go to the news and quickly go over anything that's noteworthy in the news. And then after I've done that, we'll go over the Steam version and start having a proper look at Mikasa and building her and trying her out. So I think that'll be fun. And recommended equipment as well, but you're probably going to know what I'm going to say with recommended equipment. Sword and machine. So I just want to have a quick look at these notices just to make sure if there's anything that I'm missing. The 6th enhance for these units aren't really that good. They're still not going to be great units because they're very outdated. Mikasa did have more long-term value out of all of these units, I think, because when she came out, she was a PvP unit, because she could be immune to physical damage for 7 seconds, and she was very strong in PvP, and I did kind of regret not pulling her at that time, but I do remember trying very hard to pull her, and it just couldn't happen. 4, 8, 12,000 more damage cap is okay, but it's still not enough. They're still not going to be amazing units. You can get up to 40 tickets. Great. In total, it's probably more than that, honestly. Eren was the free unit before, so I would not recommend really building him because there are better units. Yeah, I think Levi's fun. I'm looking forward to his shift form because he was my favourite unit when he released, and he was the best DPS unit when he released as well, and it was just a very fun unit to use a lot of the time, so I have been using him in the event at level 110, just because he was the only unit I had built. But yeah, he can be used, but obviously not comparable to the current DPS unit that we have. You could increase his damage cap by quite a lot with the current arcs and stuff we have available. So you can get up to 3 prisms for the new units and 4 for the Redux units, which is nice. Yeah, we're just gonna have to wait a week and see what happens, but I'm hopeful that he's the best unit from the collab. We'll have to see. I don't know yet, because Mikasa and Levi were both very strong when they released, honestly. So there's a chance that they're both very strong here as well for their shift forms. Yeah, there isn't really that much that I want to mention here. It's just a lot of login stuff and events and gachas and whatever, so... There is a pretty cool fort skin, so some people may want to get this if you care at all about fort skins. I don't really, but... Fort skins makes it sound like I'm saying something else, but I'm not going to mention that. Just ignore that I said that. It looks cool, but I'm not going to get it, because I don't buy skins. Really. I don't really care about it. Yeah, fort skin. I'm not gonna say that word again. I'm not saying fort skin again. I just said it again. Yeah, fort skin. I don't know why I'm like this, but it happens. Yeah, they've adjusted some of the skills. Now they're 5 SC, could be more used. Sure, why not? Fix some bugs, yeah. There isn't really anything I wanted to mention here. I just wanted to check just to make sure there wasn't anything I'm missing, but there isn't really anything I'm missing. Fort skin. You know, I like that word now. Let's just go to the Steam version and not say fort skin. Okay, here we go, it's better. So, I want to have a look at Mikasa now. So, it's going to be the part of the stream video thing that is going to be mostly focused on having a look at Mikasa and trying her out. I can't try her out in Arena just yet because she's not built. If I had her original form, then I would have been able to build her, but I didn't. Might as well use a rainbow potion. I am very close to getting to level 57. I've been trying to get to level 57. Oh, it still feels like you get hardly any XP at all. It takes so long. I want to keep my 2 forts because I like having 2 forts. But not 2 fort skins. I felt like I had to say that. Actually, I do have 2 fort skins. Because I use 2 forts, so I use 2 different skins. Anyways, I should just stop talking, and everything's probably better if I stop talking. Last Awaken, I don't know why I'm doing this now, but sure. Let's unlock the most boring part of this is pretty bad compared to Kaine. Well, I have no comments on that. I think they work well together, honestly, because Shift Mikasa is fire, so Kaine, her charisma will buff Shift Mikasa's damage caps by a good amount, so they would actually work pretty well in the same team. I haven't used Kaine that much. I only really use her for her charisma and that's it. I wish she was a better PvP unit. I wish she was a tank or something. Because I never really use her that much. So her ward is 1% more. Huh? But why? Explain? I mean, I kinda get it, but spear? 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 She doesn't use a spear. I mean, technically she does, but she doesn't because it's a sword machine. Weird. They could have just gave her a spear if they really wanted to put the spear word in our face all the time, but whatever. Yeah, you know what it makes me think is they were like, oh, she's a spear unit, but then halfway through they're like, no, she's not, she's gonna use a sword. That's just what it makes me think, because why the hell does she have... Why are things called spears when they're just a machine? I don't know. It's probably called a spear because of some lore in Attack on Titan, but I don't know, I can't say anything about that. I mean, Yeah, Thunder Spear. That makes sense. That's why there's a machine called a Thunder Spear. That doesn't make sense, but it makes sense to why it's called that since Mikasa had it. But she doesn't actually use a spear in this game, which is what's weird. So I think Mikasa's damage really needs to be tested because I don't know how it's going to be right now. I'm a bit worried that she's not going to be hitting hard enough. But like Garland, well, here's the difference though. Garland is just only a tank, right? But Mikasa, Shift Mikasa, is probably mostly a PvE DPS unit because her damage caps are pretty high, which Garland does not have. But there's a chance that Mikasa could be a decent tank as well in PvP, but who knows? Not me, I don't know, we'll have to see. I like rhyming. Anyways, that's everything. I think it's funny how she has more defense than strength right now. Huh. Yeah. See, here's the thing, it all depends on her modifiers, and we won't know that until she's been tested properly. And it's fine, because she could have enough damage modifiers to work well, but we don't know yet. I'm just a bit worried because a lot of these skills are focused on more defense and such, you know. Like, Destroyer was not necessary at all. This could have been a different skill for more physical damage or something, but it's fine. I still think she'll be fun. Don't hate on her yet. That's the one thing I shouldn't do. Okay, let's have a look at recommended equipment, and you know what's hilarious? You know what's funny? Is she can actually use a spear. Wow. Amazing, right. They're trolling people with this one. I can't be the only one that thinks this, but she can use a spear. So what I'm gonna say, you should not use a spear, don't use a spear ever. Actually, I take that back. Spear is okay, because spear boost and high boost give damage, physical damage mitigation, so yes, there is some synergy there with PvP. Making her a tank with a spear, I get it, that can work, but not for a DPS. That's only if you want her a full tank, because if you're using a spear, you're missing out on a lot of damage from either machine or sword boost, so a full tank build could be a... You know what? Could she even use an armor as well? Maybe. I mean, possibly, but it just reminds me of Garlands. They're kind of similar, but not really. She could use an armor, right? Like, you could, if you want her a full tank, you could go for a spear and an armor, but I know she's got unclad toughness, but 20% defense is worse than an armor, so... But she can't equip an armor, she can only equip clothes, whatever. Let's have a look at weapons first. So obviously a sword and machine are going to be the two best options. She's fire. We have a lot of options for swords, so you should be fine. Obviously Muramasa is the one I say every single time that I talk about swords, so you could use this one. This one's very good, but an even better one if you got it is this one. This one's probably going to be her best sword, I think. Probably, so I'm going to use that one. But just to check, might as well have a look at other sword options. You could go for more damage cap if you really want to. If you've got enough damage to hit cap, then you could do that, but probably don't need to. So far, Muramasa and the Kagutsuchi sword are the two best options. There aren't really any other amazing ones. Well, this one's okay, but not really, because her special damage isn't really that much. Her special isn't crazy, so I wouldn't really recommend using that. But it is a fire sword, so it's a fire sword option. This one's great. This was from a UR arc or something, so if you got it, you could use it. It is a machine. Getting into machines now. You know what I should do? Go to fire first. There is a weapon, a fire machine in the event, which is basically the same as one that we don't actually have. Okay, if there's a fire machine which gives 10% fire physical damage and 500 damage cap is in the event. You could use that if you want, because it's fire, and it could allow you to use Goddess Kiss and Honey Elixir or Apple Pie or the equivalent of that. Now machines, Trishula, there you go, there's your answer. Well, yes and no. I would probably consider this one, but there's also the one from the limited arc, which, you know what, I'm probably going to be using the one from the limited arc now I think about it. So I think the fire machine from the limited arc plus this sword will be very good against bosses that are weak to fire. I think that'd be very good. And that would mean that she'll have 2 fire weapons, which is what you want ideally, because then her normal attacks will do better. If you care about that at all, but if you don't, then you could just go for anything else. There isn't really many other weapons I can see right now, but fire swords and machines are the best weapons we have in the game. We have the most options available for those 2 types of weapons, so you should be fine for weapon options for this unit, really. You should just go for 1 sword or 1 machine in most scenarios, and if you're just using her for PvE and making her a main damage dealer, then you could just put on Trishula and she can clear like every content in the game for the story, so pretty good, if I say that. And yeah, isn't really anything else, but ideally use 1 sword, 1 machine and you'll be fine. Obviously there are other options, like you could do this plus the other fire machine from the limited arc. That would be pretty nice actually. But again, if you're doing that, you're missing out on the fire mega boost. So you're better off using a weaker sword instead if you don't have a good sword available. But you should have some decent sword, right? So for now, for a machine option, I think I'm just going to go for the fire machine. Just because... Well, actually, should I even do that? She's not going to get anything from that. Only reason I'm thinking about it is because it's fire. I'm going to go just for a trash week 1 for now. Because I do want to use the one from the limited arc, but this will do for now. So accessories, we have so many good options for accessories, it's not even funny. I am not going to be using her paid accessory for this because this is for PvE, and you're probably not going to be using her paid accessory in PvE, even if you do have it, because you don't really need it, unless you're up against a super strong boss that does a lot of damage, but even then, you should probably just be using a healer and you'll be fine, and then put on more damage accessories. So, any type of damage cap accessory will be good if you want more damage cap, as long as you're hitting cap already. But a lot of accessories, like even ODM gear, you can get this from the free select ticket, so you could get that limited arc and get the arc reward and get this accessory and then use it on her if you want to, because I do like this accessory and I have mentioned it a couple other times in my other unit streams because it's a pretty good accessory, because it's comparable to other ones similar to this, which gives 10% skill damage and more movement speed. It's basically equivalent to it. So I would definitely recommend to use probably accessories like this, because more movement speed, why not? Why not more movement speed? She's fast enough as it is, but can't go wrong with more movement speed. I did manage to get Valentine Alice the other day. I still haven't fully built her because I didn't get her that long ago, I only got her like a few days ago. Fire physical damage. See, this even gives 10 earth resistance. You know what? Her earth resistance could be pretty high, if I think about it. 35 earth resistance base, plus 20 from an accessory. Now you're at 55, plus another 10 from another accessory, that's 65, plus whatever else, probably 15 from an arc, or 10 from Gaze of the End. And yeah, that's quite a hell of a lot of earth resistance, isn't that? You don't really need that much. Fire slash ice damage, sure, more fire damage, this one's good. Like, you have so many good options that it should be fine. More skill attack damage, anything like that is fine. I would go back to Mithril Relief because I do like movement speed, which is about here somewhere. I missed it. Where'd it go? There it is. So, Mithril Relief, Mithril Relief, very good. I would probably use that. And then if you're using a machine and a sword, then you could go for this one as well. So some setup similar to this would be nice, because then I just like having more movement speed. So both give movement speed, both give 10% skill damage. I like it, and they both give strength as well. So it's very nice. So yeah, some setup like this with a sword and a machine and 2 accessories focused on damage, similar to that. This is a build I would use for PvE. If I were to use her for PvP, it would be a bit different, because I don't know how she's going to perform there yet. But I might as well have a look at the PvP options. So for PvP, there are a couple build options. Like, you could do what I said earlier and go for 1 spear, because why not? You could go for like 1 spear and then go for an armor, but right now I don't have armors unlocked because she needs armor equip, so the skill. So for now, you could use this. Something like spear with spear boost and high boost for physical damage mitigation, with an armor for even more physical damage mitigation, and the gold armor gives 20% less physical damage taken and chance to nullify physical damage taken, and +1 allure stack. That would be very good. And for accessories, this is where I would start using her paid accessory. So this is like a more tank build, and then for the second accessory you can go for something like anything that allows her to take less damage, or more HP, or a revive accessory, one of those options. If you want to go for a maximum HP build with Rainical, then you could just go for something with more HP. So you could go for an incredibly high HP accessory, which there are a couple options, or the one that I like using, Sphere or 4 Jewels, is very good. So if I were to use her for a tank in PvP, I would use something similar to this, but I'm still thinking about it, and she does need more testing. So a full tank build, I would change out the clothes for an armor, and it would look something like this, and it could be pretty good, because these 2 accessories I think are going to be the best for a tank build for her, because you take 10% less damage, and also 15% less damage from human types, and then 10% less damage from fire, ice, and earth, and thunder. So these 2 accessories help a hell of a lot, against the 2 counter units in the game, they're probably not going to allow her to tank counter units, but something like these 2 accessories are going to be very good. And now I'm looking at it, they both give HP as well, so something like this would be pretty nice. I'm not going to be saving that, that's just something that I was thinking about for PvP. But yeah, I'm going to stick with this for PvE showcase, and now I might as well try her out in PvE. I was using this team for Mikasa showcase, well, testing her damage caps and stuff. I kind of want to do that in a minute. I need to put her on a team, but I don't know what team to get rid of. I'm not really doing multiplayer. I might as well get rid of this team and put her in this one. Then we can start testing her out a little bit, just to see how it does. There's like half an hour left or something. I need to level up this arc as well, which is nice because it's blue souls, which I do have a lot of those. Let's go with Counselor 10 and try this out. So what I really want to see is what her base damage is looking like right now. Because I don't expect her to hit very hard. I think her critical hits could be pretty good, but her normal hits aren't going to be hitting very hard at all. That's what I expect. I am a bit worried about her damage modifiers being not enough, because she's probably more focused on a tank, if I'm being honest, but we'll have to see. So let's use the arc skill, and then just start using skills. So if I focus on the boss, just use the skill 1 first, she's going to be zooming a million miles an hour right in the enemy's face. This is what movement speed's for. Well, not really. This is the ODM gear. Use one of those ODM gear buffs, and then boom. Yeah, the damage is obviously not very high, but I expected that. The skills are very cool though. Skill 3. Decent range on that one. I'm not a huge fan of a skill 2 because it's just too slow, you see, like... Yeah, just very slow. The final hits are fine, it's just that first hits, that movement speed though. I like her skill 1, look at this, very good. And then the skill 3, decent as well. You know, she's killing them, which is fine, but the damage is not very high. So, yeah. I don't know how a damage will do. Let's try that one more time, and I'll probably go into the unit test play quest, because it's better to test there. Then I also want to test a full team and all that stuff as well. And her special as well. Her special animation is pretty cool. That skill 3 does have a decent reach to it. See? It's pretty good. And that as well. So she's not super close range, because the skills shoot out a wire. Normal attack is 4 hits. How fast is it though? Not the fastest, but I think this normal attack is probably good enough for a Goddess Kiss build if you really want to. Skill 3, definitely the best skill. They're dead again. You know, it's not bad. I like the skills, they're quite fun. but the damage so far is not very high, but I'm hoping that changes once she's fully built, but I don't know. I don't have any high hopes for her physical damage, but I'm hoping that's because she's tanky, but I don't know. I didn't really need to pull for a paid accessory, but I still think it's worth having. Like, there's a chance she could be like a main tank for guild versus guild attack team or something. So let's go in the unit test play quest because I want to check her out there as well. It's a lot easier to test here. Yeah. Still base skills. Still base skills. Equipment, fine. Sure, why not? Let's go. What's the stats like now? Her defense is still pretty good. I like it. I do want to activate her unique buff. I'm going to try messing around with that a bit later. So, I haven't actually seen this enemy before. Now we can try him out properly. So, skill 1. Look at that speed. Yeah, the damage is just non-existent, really. Ugh. I don't think her damage is very good, but yeah. So I want to use the special. I haven't used this yet. I think this special's pretty cool, honestly. Right? I like that. It's very nice. Obviously it's not going to be doing a hell of a lot, but if you build for a full special damage build, then it could be okay. But since it's against one enemy, I don't see myself using it very often. Yeah, her skill 1 probably procs backstab a couple times, but here's the thing though. If you notice when I use it, the enemy always turns around. Yeah, 25 minutes, I should probably hurry up. Because I did want to end the stream before the reset so I could get my hits in. Because the enemy always turns around, right? I don't know if the skill 1 will proc backstab, it would be nice, but I don't think so. I would like to test it, but I don't have a build at all. I'm going to try this again just because I like the animation. Shoot some rocket spear things. It's pretty nice. I'm gonna kill this enemy now. Just by spamming skills. See, look, 81k. I don't know where that came from, but it's there. She has very good damage caps, by the way. It reminds me of Valentine Alice, because her damage was not that impressive, but her damage caps was very good. And I did realise how strong, how good Valentine Alice was a bit later, because she's actually going to be a very useful unit for the upcoming time trial next week, I think. Yeah, Mikasa seems pretty fun. I'm just a bit worried about her damage. I don't think it's going to be doing a hell of a lot in PvP, but my hope is that she can make up for it by being a solid tank, but I don't know about that yet. One thing I did want to try is somehow lowering her HP enough to trigger her trait 2 buff, just so I can see it in action and see how long it lasts. Yeah, Mikasa, this version of Mikasa, her shift form, seems more focused on being a tank, if I'm honest, because her damage modifiers don't seem amazing, unless I'm missing something. And as you can see, she has a lot of skills for defense and auto high protection, life fort, you know. She's got a lot to help survivability against physical attacks, but only physical. That's the thing. I want to try this out quickly. So I just want to see her buff. So she's going to be lowering her own HP from this arc trait, continuously cut HP, which should be able to trigger her trait 2 buff. I just want to see how long it lasts and how good it is, really. So 17,000 HP to begin with. I just need to wait until the buff activates, which should be when she's low on health. Very soon. You know, her defense is going to be getting higher because she's going to have less health. 3,177. 3,228. Yeah. So it should activate soon. I just want to see the buff active. Almost there. It's kind of like an Awaken equivalent, but better. There you go. There it is. So, Ackerman Bloodline buff. Boost HP, Strength, Defense, Intelligence, and Mind, and won't flinch. So, now her stats are looking pretty crazy. She's got... Excuse me. She's got 51,000 health. That's not fair at all. That's not... Okay, well... That makes me wonder, what the hell. Anyways, so I don't know how long this buff lasts. I really wanted to see how long it lasts. So we're at 48 seconds. I'm glad it hasn't disappeared yet. I just want to see if it's like 40 seconds. If so, I think this will be amazing. Yeah, this buff is lasting quite a long time. Now it's gone at 18, so that was 30 seconds, 40, 30, 40, it was 48, probably 30 seconds, isn't it? I think that's fine. I think for PvP that's fine. Like, 40 seconds makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I'm gonna check though. Actually, never mind. So yeah. She is, yeah, it is very similar to Rem, that's true. Because Rem had a similar buff, which was like, insane HP buff. Well, Rainical makes me worried. And she can only get that buff once per wave. That's pretty nice. Yeah, it should definitely not prevent healing, because It doesn't specifically say that, so it should be fine. So just checking it. $48. Yeah, her buff is definitely pretty good, because if I remember, there are a couple other units that I'm just thinking of. I don't know who, but there has been other buffs in the past that just don't last a long time. So the fact that this lasts 30-ish, 30-40 seconds is very good, and makes it even better in Arena, because Arena every second matters. So even guild battles as well, like a buff that lasts that long, as long as you're tanky enough, and if you have Rainical, I'm a bit scared, but I don't know if it will work, really. Nice. I don't know if it'll work, because she really needs to be able to be tanky enough against like magic, and what makes me think is the fact that she can't tank F-Zekers, so her in guild battles on defense fort, she's just going to die against Zekers all the time, so I don't think that's going to be viable, because she doesn't have anything that helps against tanking magic, and she's got minus 30 ice resistance, so I don't think she's going to do very well on a fort defense. But on an attack team, I think that'd be very good. Or on a R1 Rainical build, very tempting. But the question is, how does she do against counters and stuff? I don't think she's going to do super well, but I think she'll be amazing against physical DPS units. That's what it seems like so far. So, while I'm here, I might as well level up this arc, because I've been wanting to do that. I do want to get to level 10, just so I can use Fire Enhance on 9S, like right now. I need it right now. He's going to be on my arena build and everything. I do want to do this. I'm tempted to do that. Against boss monsters, because it's against boss monsters, so they don't need to be weak to fire. Yeah, 15 minutes, I'm probably going to end soon. I do want to use more attacks, just in case I can get higher rank, but I'm not too fussed about what rank I get, I just want to make sure I don't drop ranks super hard. Almost level 57. So close. Still blue souls, which is fine. I haven't been needing my blue souls for anything, so finally I can use my blue souls on something. Great. Should be able to level up one more time. This is level 9. So at level 10 it will be 40%, and the buff will be 50%, damage cap 3000, so from level 10 to 11 it will be just 1% more fire attack damage, which isn't really that much, so it could be fine at level 10 honestly, but obviously I'm going to get it at level 15 just because I want to make sure all my arcs are max level, which takes a long time. But I do have every blue soul arc maxed apart from this one now, which is nice. Great. So I think it's everything I wanted to do for the moment, I think. I might as well check the event quickly, because I do think this event is very interesting and quite I like this event. It's a good event, I think. The first time we had this collab, the event was pretty fun too, because we had like a raid boss type thing. We got to do a lot of damage to the boss and repel the boss as much as possible. I do like this. And there are a lot of stages to help with building units and materials and stuff, so this is a very good event to farm for sure. If you need anything, it's probably going to be in this event, so make sure to farm this. Even got limit breaker materials if you need that. So yeah, this event has a lot in it. Once you've scouted to 100%, you do get another stage, which is somewhere. This one, which you should be farming because you can get rainbow potions. So if you're a newer player, you definitely should be trying to farm this event because you can get this stage, which can give you rainbow potions, which will be incredibly useful for new accounts or players that don't have many rainbow potions. So it's a very good event. I do like this one, and I'm hoping that I can get a bunch of materials and stuff. So definitely going to be spending a lot of time farming this over the next week, and then after a week it'll be part 2, and then part 2 is probably mostly going to be the time trial and still farm the event, but I'm going to try and farm the event mostly this week. Should be nice. And you can use these stages to build up any unit, even new units. So if you manage to get the new Mikasa, if you get Shift Mikasa, then you can just shove her in here, use tickets, and she can be built quite fast. And Rerun, if you're new, don't use a rainbow potion on Rerun, just go into the events and use tickets and level them up. Rerun is just free 1000 crystals if he's new for you. So yeah, there's about 11ish minutes till arena reset, so I do want to get going in a second. My conclusion for part 1 at the moment, I do think this collab is going to be a pretty fun one, and I definitely need to see how Shift Mikasa performs in PvP, but what I'm worried about is she might not have enough damage, but she should be decently tanky, and she can definitely have a lot of HP, so I'm sure there are going to be some interesting builds and some interesting things you can do with her, for sure. And the limited arc is pretty solid as well. With Fire Enhanced, you can put that on 9S and increase his damage even more. And the Morning Tide skill as well, for more strength, will be very good in PvE if you're up against enemies that have a lot of defense. So I do think it's a good banner, has a lot of stuff that has value in it, but it isn't a DOH banner, and a DOH banner has off rate up DOH units in it as well, so I still recommend to save for now and use your tickets first, because she needs more testing, but I do think both will be very good. I just don't know how good at the moment. I do need to test her in Arena, but I'm sure there's going to be other people testing her in Arena and stuff very soon, so that'll be interesting. I should be able to talk more about her performance next week, because next week will be part 2, and I would have had a whole week to build her and try her out and stuff, so I'm definitely going to be spending the next week building her and doing the event and everything, and I should be able to talk a little bit about her performance then, but we'll have to see. My expectations aren't super high, but I'm hoping that she's a pretty decent tank unit, for PvP at least. Her damage, we'll have to see. For PvE though, DPS should be pretty solid, but nothing amazing, so yeah. Kind of need to wait and see on this unit, but she does have a lot of good skills that I'm looking forward to seeing how it performs, but that's pretty much all I can say for her for now, and everything with part 1. With the Redux, you should not be pulling on the Redux banner. All you should be doing is using your Redux tickets, and save your guaranteed ticket for later, because you need to use your normal tickets first just in case you get anything. What you should be training for is what I did talk about earlier, but might as well mention it here as well. there are 2 arcs, and as you know, limited arcs have more long-term value than units do in most cases, so definitely pick one of these, but I do think this one's going to be the best option to choose, so yeah. It's good that we do get one for free, and I was only missing Mikasa from this, so I traded for her, but you should not be trading for any of these units unless you already have both of those arcs already. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I want to say for the moment, and just farm this event, have fun with it, don't waste your crystals, just be smart with crystals all the time. There are a decent amount of tickets in this event, so make sure to get those. Part 2 will have some good tickets as well. I am hoping Levi's pretty good, but we don't know yet. I'll have to see. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there for now, because Arena's going to end in less than 10 minutes, so yeah, I hope Levi's good as well, because the original form of Levi was very strong, and was probably the best PvE DPS unit at the time, so he was very fun. I liked him a lot as a unit, so I am looking forward to part 2. Hopefully he has good skills and stuff. I still think Mikasa is going to be a strong unit. I don't know if Levi will be better, we just have to wait and see, but yeah. I'll be adding the timestamps a bit later today. Won't take that long, but yeah. I'll leave it there for now. There's about 7 minutes till the arena reset, so make sure to use your attacks if you haven't yet, and I'll see you next week, which is good because it's not a 2-week break. I do like having 1 week in between each stream because it feels like there's more streams, and I do like these collabs. These collabs are pretty fun to me, so yeah. I'll see you in about a week. Next Thursday should be part 2, so yeah. Bye.